burgers and you be on a level. Listen, I'm never giving up. Stand your ground, don't be too comfortable or too settled. Listen, I'm never giving up. When you hit rock bottom, it's only one way to go. Listen, I'm never giving up. Everybody got problems, how you handle them, no. Listen.
Hey, I'm John.
And I'm Jonathan.
Welcome to the Formula.
Hey guys, we have two special guests with us today, and I'm very excited about these guests because I know these guests very personally myself. So we have Mr. Marcus Hilliard, which is the assistant head football coach at Virginia Union, and also we have Mr. Larry Chip Hester, and he's actually starting up the program, football program at Barton College.
Good morning, fellas.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. So, like I said, man, we're very excited to have you guys on with us today because you guys have coached at a very high level, and myself, I have much respect for the two of you because, just to give you guys a little background, how I know these guys is, Mr. Coach Hester actually was my football coach at Catawba College, and he had a really, really good run at Catawba. Had us running at the top of the nation. We went to the multiple playoff berths, went deep into the playoffs, to the semifinal rounds in the national playoffs in Division II. And so I got much respect for Coach Hester, and because I was able to see his work firsthand. Also, Coach Hester was my recruiter. So he recruited me to Catawba, out of a small town of Mount Olive. So, I owe a lot to Coach Hester. And then Marcus Hilliard, man, I can't say enough about this guy. We actually grew up together. We're related, we're cousins on my dad's side. And, Marcus Hilliard, I seen Marcus grow up as an athlete because he's a year older than me. So I was able to actually see him grow. We played football with each other in Little League, and, we played football with each other in middle school, high school, and I almost went to college with him.
Well, what school?
At Elizabeth City State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so then Coach Hester came and talked to me.
He snatched you up.
It's great.
Almost. Yeah, so and just along that lines, guys, talking about recruiting, when you guys have these recruits, is there a way that you like the athletes to actually come about communicating with you guys? What do you want? Full film on a player? Do you want to just highlight film on a player? What's the best routes? Because I know there's a lot of football players out there, even other sports as well, that like to be recruited to Division I, Division II, no matter what, just get into a school and get some education. Well, what's the best route in being recruited?
Well, I'll start off, Coach.
Yes, sir.
You're the elder statesman, but I'll start off. Well, the first thing with us, when you just talk about recruiting, we get a lot of our recruits from our current players. A lot of our guys recommend. It's about like the relationships you've already established with other coaches. It's just like how I know you. You might have a student athlete that's pretty good that and just because I have that relationship with you, I'll be intrigued by that and delve into some more research on that kid. And it's the same thing with our current student athletes. We're able, they recommend, especially on our level, at this Division II level, they recommend a lot of those players, and we start to research those guys and go through and get information on them. For us, as far as with film, I mean, of course, everybody's using Huddle now, but for me, when I'm evaluating film, of course, the highlight is good, but I want to see what they're doing against the top competition in their league and everything. And at some point, you're watching the highlights, but you also want to see like a game. Just because in highlights, they can be tainted. They're like stats. You can make them seem how you want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of want to see a game and just go through the process. For me, being a defensive line coach, just making sure they're doing the things that when they get to my level, we won't have to spend as much time on, and I can kind of polish them up. But yeah, as far as that recruiting, just using some of the different services. I mean, because at our level, we're small, so we're able to utilize Huddle and another recruiter service where they're actually able to recommend some kids, and it helps us get through that process of getting so many thousands of players because, as you know, we can't pick for everybody. So, it just helps us filter out some of those guys, and then we see what we already have on our current roster and see where we need to plug in, and then we actually focus on, that particular position, and we just start doing the research on that. But just getting back with recruiting, it's all about the relationship. So you build,
Mm-hmm.
Even with other D2 coaches, like, he might have not been able to go to Bart with Coach Hester, but he might be a good fit for us. So
Mm-hmm.
just establishing those different relationships within our coaching field, our coaching fraternity, and that's kind of how we go about it at Virginia Union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's well said, Coach. I think you're hitting on a lot of the same things that I would hit on. I can kind of tell you also that we don't do a lot with recruiting services that kids pay. So we actually use a recruiting service as well that we pay for.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get probably thousands of emails a week, but we spend more time on I think Coach hit on the relationship piece.
Mm-hmm.
Our relationship with the high school coach is really huge. To hear what that high school coach has got to say, and they're able to tell us, and heck, we'll talk to high school guidance counselors about the character, and the first two questions we ask: does the young person have good character? And number two, can he be successful at our school? And so being able to ask those kind of questions, and I put you, Jonathan, as a prime example. You had some physical talents and things like that. Those were there, but you were the right kind of guy. You were going to be the right fit for our program. And so, I think that's how you build a successful program is by recruiting kids that are going to fit your profile or what you're trying to achieve. And so I think that's an important part of it. So the other thing about highlights and game film, I think highlights is a great place to start. And that's a chance to see what the player can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Coach really hit on something that was really big, is being able to see a full game. Heck, see practice, see a game in person, because we want to see how a young person, how they react when things are not going well. How do they play when you're down 2 touchdowns versus ahead 2 touchdowns versus how you do against inferior competition versus the best competition. So I think all those kind of things build to you build a profile about a young person, and you say that's the kind of young man that we want in our program. That's who we want to be a part of our family, and I think that's the best way to go about it.
Yes, that's awesome, because that's some of the things that as an athlete coming out of high school, I was looking at those things as well, like the character of a program, because and you guys can attest, like a program has character, right?
Absolutely.
So you're just having that mental toughness, that desire to win, are some of those things that we look for as a athlete as well. And and you touched on it too, is just the importance of having those relationship with high school coaches. Now, is there like a specific group of coaches that kind of like want to keep that relationship with you guys, that reach out to you to talk to the players? Because I know, like when I was at Catawba, we did have a lot of guys from the South Carolina area. So I don't know if you can speak on that, Coach. So how was that? Like, how was that relationship with those specific coaches? And did they like really reach out to you and like put their kids on to you guys?
Yeah, so I think you're hitting on again that relationship piece, because Coach Bennett, who was the head coach at the time when I was an assistant, and I think when we recruited you, was from Cheraw, South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and so he had connections down in South Carolina, and that's part of the recruiting process, and it's why you see all these Division I big schools, the NC States of the world and the UNCs, they're hiring these guys as high school liaisons. So, that's specifically what they do is build those relationships and set up these clinics and things like that. So, that's a huge deal. I've become that old coach now, but so I've been recruiting in North Carolina for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you hopefully build relationships, and you really trust the guys that and they're going to tell you the way it is. I'd rather know up front if a guy, this is something that you don't think would fit well with our program, or that you would. So you want honesty, and you want to know that a guy, everybody's going to say they run a 4.4, but what does he really run, and how tall is he really?
Right.
How much does he weigh really? So those relationships that you can really trust what they say, I think that means a bunch in the recruiting process, and I think that's in my mind, as I talk to our coaches here at Barton, it's about building those relationships with high school coaches. We put a lot of I guess emphasis on what are they saying about those young people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just so true, Coach. Of course, you got your go-to guys that at the high school level that that pretty much they're gonna keep it real with you, like Coach said. They're gonna tell you, how this kid really is in class, and you trust those guys because you had that relationship with them for so long. And I think that helps, man. Just knowing the guy is not, he's gonna shoot you straight. Like, look, man, this this is what it is, and Coach said it exactly right. It's about the right fit, and just making sure you're doing your research, your due diligence on a student athlete, and in recruiting, Coach knows it's an inexact science, man. You might think you had the right guy, and they this, and he gets to your school, and it's like, bro, you wasn't this way,
It just didn't work.
Oh, yeah, it didn't work. Or he might been like not that good, like character
Right.
kind of shaky, and then
Right.
you get him, and he, so it's an inexact science, man, and you just gotta trust your instinct. And but Coach said it right. Those relationships and those guys that they'll let you know. They're
Cool.
pretty much spot on.
Yeah. So we, like I said, we have Coach Hester, Coach Chip Hester, and Coach Marcus Hilliard on the line with us. Coach Chip Hester is the head football coach at Barton College, Division II program. And Coach Hester is starting that program, so this year would have been our inaugural season, huh, Coach?
Right. So it's funny, Jonathan. I don't know if you remember, my last year coaching at A&T was 2017, and so we were actually 12-0. We had a lot of fun. Great coaches, Broadway head coach, and so then I came on at Barton and had been starting the program. And so the first 2 years we weren't playing. So as I spoke to all these civic groups, my line was, I promise we're going undefeated for the next 2 years. I'm not promising anything for 2020, but now I can say that too. We're gonna be undefeated in 2020.
You exceeded your expectations.
Exactly. That's cool, man.
Yeah,
You guys are good, man. Y'all was the role model team, man. And team, I think y'all be Grambling that year. It was like, yes,
Man.
glad you and Coach Broadway could finish it off, man. That was awesome. I actually watched the celebration game.
Coach, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Most of probably the folks that are listening to this know Coach Broadway and the kind of coach he is, and he's successful everywhere he went. So I learned so much in my 4 years at A&T, and for those, I know some people that went other places might think differently, maybe in Durham or something, but A&T is a special place, man. It is
right.
a special place. That alumni base, and it's special, and
right.
I feel like I've made some lifelong friends and brothers, and I really, really love my time at A&T.
That's good to hear, man. Definitely, that's good to hear. Coach Broadway is a great guy. I always like to say, we had played Coach Broadway when he was at NC Central back in 2006 for for the CLAA championship. Man, I always say, man, we catapulted Coach Broadway's career. Man, he won that one, and he just went on and took off. Like, man, golly. I mess with the guys about that all the time.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned you been at A&T. You guys had like the number one offense in the MEAC that year, right?
I tell folks all the time, I was fortunate enough to be the offensive coordinator with a young man at tailback named Tariq Cohen from Fun, North Carolina. And I tell people, for everyone who calls plays, I hope that they'll have one time in their career when they have a guy like that. Because I'm going to be quite honest, it really didn't matter what I called. That guy was going to make something happen. He was special. And I think, you talking about Tariq, and I wasn't there to recruit him. Coach Gibbs, or the running back coach, and Coach, I think Coach Broadway was the head coach at the time, and I can't remember exactly who recruited him specifically, but that was the only Division I offer that he had was A&T.
Wow.
And so, they did I think it was Trey Oliver, actually, the head coach at Central now was the recruiting coach. But it was about that relationship with Coach Howell, and they said, Coach Howell from Bunn this guy's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they built that relationship, and they trusted what they saw on film, and man, it worked out well. And the next year, Brandon Parker gets drafted by the Oakland Raiders. Same story, only one Division I offer. So, I think that kind of goes to say a lot about the things that we're talking about is the recruiting process and making sure that you're recruiting the right kind of guys. But yeah, it was fun. It was a special group of guys. They worked extremely hard. Great group of coaches, and it was a fun experience, no question.
And where was you say Brandon that was drafted the year after that?
Yep.
Where did he go to high school?
He was at A.L. Brown. So,
okay.
In Kannapolis there,
mm-hmm.
and just a really outstanding young man, engineering major. He's about 6'8", and I think when he got to A&T, he was probably right at 250, and now he's about 320, and just great work ethic, the right kind of mentality, always wanting to get better, and so you love to see guys like that have that kind of success.
Oh yeah, you coached someone from A.L. Brown too. Shout out to Duran Lipscomb.
Absolutely. And Jonathan, that's the relationship. Coach Massey for years was at A.L. Brown, and then Newsom has been there, and we've got a young man on our team right now at Barton from A.L. Brown,
mm-hmm.
and so again, those good programs that you can kind of go to, and you know what you're getting, and I think that's a big part of it. Todd Hagler was the strength coach, so you knew those guys knew how to work and what had some expectations on them and things like that.
Cool. And Marcus, this is for both of you guys, but I want Marcus to answer this first. You've been from a small town like Mount Olive, North Carolina, the poorest city in North Carolina. Like, you knowing the recruiting process, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now that you're a coach and you know the recruiting process when you was coming through as a player, where we didn't get the looks that we probably should have, right?
Right.
How do you find those kids like a Tariq Cohen that was at Dunn or Bun, right?
Right.
So how do you find them kids? Because Bun is a very small town in North Carolina, like Mount Olive. So there's really small pockets of like Eastern North Carolina, very small towns. How do you find those good kids, those good athletes in those small towns like that?
Well, it goes back to like we were talking about earlier, and I know what Coach Hester was saying about the recruiting services. You know, they help us a lot because we actually have a paid for recruiting services. So, like I said, it's tough when you got a small staff, man. You know, you have a recruiting coordinator, but we're not able to get out to those places. So we rely heavily on, you know, that recruiting service. And it's also, again, we go back to relationships. And you know this, when one of our former guys was a coach down in our area, he not only told me about his school, but he was telling me about other schools.
Right.
And he was pushing other players, whether they know it or not. He was pushing them and like, look, man, we don't have anybody, but you know, A.L. Brown, or you know, he might say over here Goldsboro, or you know, down in Duplin, they got Clinton, man. He got this player, so he kind of was plugged in, and that's why I say even establishing those relationships with those different coaches, they know the players. They play against them. They know them. They go to these camps. So, you know, even up here at 7-5, I got a guy, man, and he just, I mean, I think he's the recruiting wizard. He knows everybody. He knows their mom. He knows everything about them. So I can call him about a player, and he knows, oh, yeah, coach, he's such and such. He's going there. And that's kind of what helps us to, you know, track those guys that wouldn't necessarily be recruited from, you know, in those small areas. And just trying to get those guys. And also, you know, during our time now, I know we're not that old, but we have huddle and we didn't have bell bones. We didn't have all that. Coach Hester know with it. You got tape. Like you gotta put that tape together. And, you know, there ain't no highlight tape. You just it's gonna be a full game because you don't.
Right.
So I mean, everything is so digital now. So you might. Kids are hitting. Coach Hester knows. I know he gets a million of them. Kids are hitting you on Twitter. Like they don't, you know, from those small schools, you get a Twitter message. Say, Coach, check me out. So it's just, you know, things have changed, and now, you know, for those smaller schools, it's not like it was back when we played. You know, it's a lot easier now. You can get, like Coach said, they got the kids can pay for a recruiting service, and they shoot you 1,000 emails, or you got your own service you pay for, and they you know, specifically look for those type of diamond in the rough kids, and the relationships that you build with those other coaches, you know, helps to recruit that type of kid.
Coach, you're dead on it right there. I think what you're talking about is your due diligence, and you know, each coach has a recruiting area, and so you're responsible for that area. And you're right. The technology today has made it so that there are not a lot of those unknowns out there anymore. And I can tell you, Jonathan, the way we kind of do it is we if we take a kid from wherever in Eastern North Carolina, we say, well, what would he look like if he was playing on a team in this town? Where, you know, what would that look like? And is he dominating where he is? It's like when the NFL scouts came in to watch those guys that I mentioned from A&T. You know, we were FCS, so it wasn't FBS, but is that young man dominating his level of competition? Yes, he is. And that's what gave the Brandon Parkers and the Tariq Cohens and actually the Daryl Johnsons the year after that a chance to get drafted because they dominated their level of competition. And so, you know, I think you're kind of leading to a question about should I transfer? And I would say no, don't. You know, I want to see you how you're doing where you are, and then a lot of guys will talk about a position. So maybe I play wide out, and we don't throw it as much as whatever other school. I'm not I very rarely look at stats.
Right.
I'm looking at film. You know,
Mhm.
what do you look like when you do catch the ball? What do you looking like when you're blocking? All those different types of things. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I think Coach Hilliard, you nailed it. There are not a lot of those secrets anymore out there because of the technology today.
Mm-hmm. And what's some of you guys like biggest recruits that you landed, or like some of the crazy stories that maybe you was involved in, or maybe one of your colleagues was involved in recruiting a kid?
The craziest story.
Is it that many stories?
Nah. Well, I mean,
You trying to pin it
craziest
down?
story for me. Nah, the craziest story, and I can, and Coach Hester knows, man. You been doing this for a long time. You forget guys' names, man. I hate that, Coach. Like it's like you know them, but you don't. You forget their names, man, and you feel so bad. Like I know this guy, and I can't think of his name, but we had a guy. This was out of Elizabeth City. He was a big time recruit, and like at that point, and that. Oh well, let me say this. Let me go back to Coach Hester. We talking about days at Catawba, man. I wanted to tell you, like in 2007, y'all had the biggest quarterback. Even my mom still remembers him, Brad Roach.
Brad Roach.
He was the biggest quarterback that we ever seen in my life. Like on that level. I just want to let you know that I remember
Roach
that.
was
And my mama
big.
still remember that. She was like, he played quarterback. She was like, I know y'all gonna lose if he plays quarterback. And I was like, Mom, like, what? But I just want to tell you that, man. I just thought about that. But back when I was at Elizabeth City, we were going to get this big time crew. At that time, like, you know, we didn't have a lot of big time guys at that time, and he was a D1 transfer, so we had a coaches meeting because the media and everything was going to come. They was like, yo, he's about to transfer to Elizabeth City. Well, our offensive coordinator, he had a good relationship with the guys coach, and he was about to come to Elizabeth City. He played running back. I can't even remember his name. He was a big time running back, and he was going to come to Elizabeth City. And we pretty much were gonna have to change our whole like dynamic, like put him around like with the media. Like we were putting in practices in place. Like at Elizabeth City, you know, we didn't have a designated time. Our SID, if you want to do an interview, you can just do one. Like we were putting in policies in place just for this guy. And I was like, wow, how is that gonna transition to our team? Like, I mean, I know he's good, but you know, we never had that type of deal, and good enough. He didn't fall through for us, but it was just like that. That was so crazy. I just saw how, you know, we were going to change our whole, you know, dynamic just to bring in this one player. But for us, man, we, like Coach said, we just try to bring guys who fit. If they prosper in our system, you know. With recruiting, like I said, man, you might think like I said it's inexact times. You might think you got a top level recruit.
Right.
They won't even call you back and like, I went to A&T. I went to Coach Hester. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. All right, bro. I appreciate it, man. But yeah, that's kind of how it was with us, though.
Yeah, you know, you always hear crazy stories in recruiting, but I guess the thing that jumps to my mind is back during my time at Catawba, we had a kid that we signed him, and we all thought as a staff that he was a big time Division I type talent. He was a defensive back, I think from the Jacksonville, Florida area, and so he signed on signing date, and then like 2 days later, I get a call from his head coach, and I'm like, here we go. But West Virginia had come into the picture. And so all of a sudden, West Virginia wants him to come there. But he signed a national letter of intent, which is a 2-year, commitment basically. But to make a long story short, you know, it didn't take me long. I've always thought if a guy doesn't want to be in our program, even if he's wanting to transfer, we're going to let him go because we want guys that want to be here, and and how am I going to stop a kid that he's got this offer from West Virginia to to stop. So we ended up he did an appeal of the NLI, and we helped him with that. He ended up at West Virginia, and I think he played and had a good career up there. So the thing about recruiting is you never know. It's never quite the same. You don't know, and I think one of the parts that can make you a good recruiter is to find out what is the decision making factor and who are the power players. Is it the mom? Is it an uncle? Is it a teammate? Is it all those kind of things? And kind of find out and do your homework is, I think, probably the biggest lessons that I think we can learn in all those crazy stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Coach, you started that story, and I seen where it was going, and I knew how it was going to end. Because I know how that's the character. I know how Coach Hester is. You feel what I'm saying? Like, he's a stand-up guy. He want the best for the kids. Like, that was cool because I was like, I know Coach Hester, just let him go.
Right. So he's not trying to force a kid to stay with his program if he knows. Yeah.
No, man, no. And Coach Hester, great coach. Just is a stand-up guy. Every time I talk to any of my former player teammates, man, they say the same thing. Like, Coach Hester, he was such a great guy. It's just that's it.
Nice.
And again, we got Coach Hester on the line, head coach at Barton. We also have Marcus Hilliard, which is the assistant head coach at Virginia Union, defense coordinator and D-line coach. Coach Marcus Hilliard was actually also the AFCA National D2 Assistant Coach of the Year. How's that, man? How's that?
Congrats.
I actually, man, it was awesome, man. I actually didn't even know. I was like, wow, I wonder, like, you kind of like, man, this is a national award and you win it. And it was cool, man, just being in the luncheon with all the rest of award winners, man, at each level. And just meeting a lot of guys, just networking and just meeting guys, man. It was pretty cool, man. The FCA did it right. They pretty much put you up, and it was a great experience, man. I definitely enjoyed it.
That's awesome, man. You also was the Bill Walsh NFL minority internship recipient as well for the Steelers.
Yeah, man. Now that I mean, just coming from where we're from, man. Sometimes you don't even know, like, that's a dream to try. Just get an opportunity to coach in the league. That's just something that just don't happen, man. And then, when I was selected, man, it was just like, wow, this is really it. And like I tell this story all the time. When I get there, it's like you kind of starstruck because you're like, man, I watch these guys. I'm a fan of y'all. And it's like Dan Roethlisberger's right here, and Juju Smith-Schuster and Cam Haywood. I'm like, dang, I'm a fan.
Right.
But then they calling you coach. And it's like you got to transition out of that fandom right quick. You're a coach. You're there for a job, and just working with Mike Tomlin, like I can't say enough about that guy, man. He's a people's person, man, and I see why they've had success. Even last year, just pretty much all the guys injured, and these guys still go 8-8. And that's just a testament to him and that staff, and it was a cool experience, man, just working in that NFL realm. And it's a business. You learn that quickly. We having meetings, and they're cutting guys and bringing guys in because it's during training camp. So they're trying to make that 53-man. And it's cutthroat. It is. It's a business. And just appreciate that whole opportunity, man. It was a good deal for me and just helping me in my career.
Jonathan, let me just say what a big deal that AFCA deal is. That is a huge deal, and Coach Hilliard's got a great reputation in this region. But that's a national deal. It's a huge organization. If you go to the clinic every year, I mean, it's thousands of coaches, and so that is really a big deal, and it's a great honor, and it's well deserved because over time there. After you've been in coaching for a while, guys will flame out. You'll have this guy pops up and they're gone and this, that. But Coach has done it for years. and is well respected. And I think that's a well earned honor that he earned. So really, really big deal.
Yeah,
Appreciate that, Coach.
Mount Olive was proud, man.
No doubt.
Mount Olive was proud. Our little league football coach, Coach Farrell. I mean, he was giddy.
Yeah, for good reason.
Yeah, definitely. Congratulations on that. I wanted to get into the whole pandemic, and since the partial shutdown started back in March, I just wanted to know, how has the pandemic affected recruiting? Because recruiting is like everything for you guys.
Well, I can start on that one, Coach Hilliard. It's been crazy. I mean, it has been a crazy time. We're at Barton. Obviously, you mentioned that we're starting up football, so we had just started. We were starting spring ball early, and so we actually started in March. I mean, in February, at the very end of February, and had gone to spring break and had come back, and so we'd gotten 7 practices into our spring ball, and it was done. We had only been in our locker room for 7 days, and then I think at that time we all felt like, well, this is awful, but we'll be fine in fall. And so I just didn't have enough forethought to think, man, this is going to really affect football season this year. But it has, and so we've had to do some retraining pieces, and so you're in different pods, and we've had to kind of schedule our practice. And one coach is a kind of a gatekeeper. You got to make sure you've done your screening before you can even come in. That you can only have so many guys in the weight room at the same time, and so it has affected every little bit. The thing I think that it's affected me the most, that I don't like the most, is the individual one-on-one and those singular kind of meeting spaces. They're just hard to have with a mask on, and you've got to be socially distanced, and you can't have team meetings the way you like to have team meetings. So it's literally affected every little bit of our lives right now.
Yeah. I just piggybacking on that, and Coach Hester knows, like, coaches, man, they're a creature of habits, man. It's hard to try to train them not to do something, especially with this whole social distancing. Like, I was like him at first. We didn't even, get into any spring practices, and in my mind, I'm just like Coach Hester. I'm like, oh, this will blow over. We'll be good. We were actually planning for, bringing the guys coming back for summer, have a little summer workout, So and that's how far gone I was about the COVID. I was like, okay, this is a blowover. It's cool, but here we are, September, and we're here. Like, we're supposed to be watching the game from yesterday and going over for our next opponent, and here on the podcast. Not saying nothing bad about it. I love it. But, we're supposed to be working,
right?
So it's kind of. It's different, man. Just like Coach said, you don't think about those things, like having a socially distant meeting. Even a staff meeting, we can't even. I'm like, Coach, like, we're communicating through Zoom. Like, I haven't used Zoom ever this much in life, and like, that is the new norm. I'm having position meetings through Zoom, and that's just the new normal, and it's kind of. It's different, man. Hopefully we can get back to, normal, but like it's different. Even with, like Coach said, with the workout and having those guys work out. Not having 10 or whatever in a group. That just puts a lot of strain on the coaches, because now you have. You're dealing with 100-some players,
right?
And it's like you're gonna have 10 people. That's 10 groups, So it's kind of like
And we used to be packed in them.
It's a lot more tedious
in the meeting rooms too.
And the meetings, and it's just different, man. And like Coach said, like, for me, just wearing a mask is crazy. Can't hardly breathe. And you having meetings, and those screenings, they get redundant every day. And look, listen, I'm all for safety, and I know we have to do it. I'm just, venting to you guys. Just with it,
That's what we're here
just
for.
the whole screen, just the whole screening deal, and even with us, it just pops up on your phone. You got to do it and just check in, and even for us being on campus, you can't even have visitors, on campus. Like if you don't have ID, you just can't go. So it's just different, man. Just a new way. Last year it was nothing. It's a totally different scene.
So you touched on
Jonathan. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, Jonathan, I think the thing that we're trying to do with our staff is we're trying to look for the positives, and I think that's something we try to do anyway. But we've talked about the positive, and we're in group positive 8 right now. But it has been tough on the coaches. I mean, they're out. Our kids are out there for 30 minutes, but our coaches are out there for 2 hours, and rolling. And so, but what has happened is we've had a little more individual attention, and so that's something that we've talked about that we might even try to include in years in the future. So we're trying to find those positives, and I think one of the messages to my team last spring was when we're back together, this is gonna cause us to really appreciate our time together even better, and to not take anything for granted. And so that's what we're trying to kind of tell our guys, and I think in life you try to make the best of your situation. I think that's what we're trying to do at this point.
Yep, that's exactly right, man. And going back to that, just thinking about that. So with us, just with our coaches, one thing we try to do, so we won't have everybody in the office. We have staggered days, like let's stagger our time, like so. We have coaches in the office every day, but now we're not all, the entire staff is not there. Like I'll come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then all the coaches Tuesday and Thursday, just to kind of, spread it out so we're not all in at the same time. And if coach wants to meet with us or if we have a workout, that's our day. We go. If coach want to meet with us, we got the Zoom. Like I said, Zoom is pretty much our friend, and that's great, coach. Just like you said, trying to find a positive, and that's what I'm doing, man. And it was positive watching football yesterday. I'm like, what? This can happen. This can happen. They're making it happen, Now, I don't know behind the scenes with the testing and things they have going on at that level, but it's happening because they're playing. So just trying to find that positive.
Yeah, so you guys kind of touched on it in your answer, but if I'm trying to find out if you guys adopted like any new tools, any new strategies that you guys picked up during this, partial shutdown that you're gonna keep, like even after the COVID-19, after we're over it. Is there anything new that you guys adopted that you're gonna keep, moving forward?
Well, I can tell you that something that we've talked about, and I don't know exactly how it'll work, but for years, coaching in the fall especially, and other times of the year it's the same thing, but it's just such a time-consuming profession, and you end up spending a lot of time away from family. And my kids are all off to college and done with college, but we've got some assistant coaches that have young kids, and so this Zoom, basically we had to do it. We had to use it, and as much as I don't enjoy Zoom, I'd rather be in person. What we found is, hey, we can get stuff done. We can be productive, and what it's kind of got me thinking is, and trying to prepare, is a lot of times you end up with late nights watching film, and what I'm coming to the realization is we might be able to do more, especially with these guys with young kids, that they can get home, put their kids in bed, and be there at night, and then we can get on a Zoom at 9 o'clock or whatever and finish up what we needed to do. And so we can get a little bit more creative with our work day. And I like what Coach said about staggering days and things like that. I think there's something to all that. And I think that's something that I'm sure it's on my mind and on my heart. I want our coaches to be in the lives of their kids and their families, and so this technology. We've got the resources and in all the computer, the online editing systems that we can do some stuff from home and still be able to communicate and get done what we need to get done.
Yeah, that's awesome, Coach. Jonathan, a lot of times, man, it's a pleasure to work for head coaches like Coach Hester that thinks of that because, as an assistant coach, man, that's on your mind a lot. Even though you have kids or not, if you have family, man, just being there and like you said, it's just so much, so time consuming. And I think one thing COVID has done to talk about a positive, Coach, you're able to spend more time with your family. Like me and my wife, like I. We're here every day, and for the last 5 months, like she is used. Like I don't know what's gonna happen now that I'm transitioning back to work. She's used to me cooking lunch. Like she's asking me, like, "Oh, babe, I got to go to work today." She's mad about it, man. But we're able to spend that time, and just to get our relationship back right. Just not the grueling and the grinding of football, and just being able to spend that time, man. So I think that's one thing, like Coach said, just maybe if you could be home because, you got to get the work done. Coach knows that you got to get the work done, but you got to have a balance. And you don't want your family life to suffer as well. You don't want to work, and then, family first. I know a lot of guys say it, but a lot of guys don't do it. And I just appreciate Coach Hester saying that. Like, look, man, family is first. Like, you got to make sure they're good. And I think that's one of the things that we can do, where we're able to work from home and the Zoom meetings because it can work. Think about it now. We're making it work now. You put it in a situation where it has to work, and it's been fine. But I'm like Coach Hester. I like the face to face. I like to see my kids, and it's just you want to see your kids, man. But I think that's one of the things that we could probably take from this, and going forward.
So Division II, I believe, has been canceled, right? College football Division II has been canceled. Some conferences have floated the idea of moving football to the spring. Would you guys have been open to that, moving your season to the spring?
Well, I'm gonna let the head coach take that one. I have my own thoughts, but he's the head coach, so I'm gonna let the head coach speak. Let me see what he says about that.
Hey, it's funny, Coach Hilliard. During my 4 years at A&T, I truly enjoyed saying that. Hey, don't ask Coach Broadway. That's a Coach Broadway question.
Right, exactly. You just defer that right on to the head coach.
Yeah, you can ask the head coach. Yeah, Jonathan. Division II is and Division III. I think they have both said that they're not going to hold playoffs in the fall, and so that's probably what you're talking about. They didn't preclude you from playing games, and I think maybe West Texas A&M or somebody out west is actually playing some games. Different conferences are going to do different things, I think, and they that's been probably the most surprising part of this reaction to this COVID is that people have done so many different things. I'm still surprised that the FBS has decided to do different things, but we're in a scheduling agreement with the South Atlantic Conference, and we'll hopefully hear something soon. The plan is to have a spring season. Now, what that spring season looks like is definitely up in the air. I would, and this is just me thinking and kind of talking out loud, is that I would be very surprised to see many teams have full 10 or 11 game schedules in the spring. I think it'll range from 4 to 7, 8, something like that. And I think what I think most of our concern is having a spring season that might even go till May, and then turning back around in 4 or 5 months and playing another full season. And so I think that's the concern. For a team like us, we brought in 80 guys last year, and all of them redshirted. So So we need some live reps,
Right.
and so we'll probably we'll see what the South Atlantic Conference does, and obviously we hope we're involved with that, and then we'll kind of take it from there and see, if we want to schedule a couple games and get some experience before next year.
Yep. And for us, and I'm just, this is my individual thought, not the thoughts of Coach Parker, but I just talking with him. I know in our conference, we're like, same thing, Coach. We're floating that idea of spring, but a couple of my concerns with that, if the NCAA is not sponsoring championships, it's kind of hard. Will we, of course, and I know your situation, Coach. You want to get those live reps, right? Of course, you want to win too, but you need that. You guys. You haven't started yet, so of course that's your deal. But for us, it's like, okay, they're not sponsoring if they don't. Now I'm just speaking.
Right.
If they don't sponsor the spring championships, kind of what are we playing for? Like, if there's going to be no playoffs and they're not sponsoring that, kind of what that will look like in the spring. Then you talk about injuries. Say if we got a guy you play in the spring coming back, and we saying have a spring season and a fall season. Well, what if he gets hurt? That's kind of a concern. So he could be like, you know what, I'm just gonna sit out this spring season. And I would love to get those reps if we plan. I know our conference is floating the idea maybe it's 7 games, but I'm just trying to see how does that work. What is different from now to then? Are the testing protocols I have yet to see the plan on how that works. So I'm skeptical about that spring season.
Right.
I wanted to make it happen if it works, but it's a lot of different questions in the air right now. And I'm all for the force, but of course you want to err on the side of safety, which we have been doing every school. And I'm like, Coach, like it's like some of those schools are still playing, and it's just like it's just what it is, and what it does, it puts us in a bad situation, because now once you see if I think it's Texas, West Texas, whatever the school in Texas, the 2 school, our kids are asking, well, Coach, why we can't play?
Right.
We're having to answer those questions, and it's like, well, I don't have an answer for that. So it kind of puts us in a predicament, like, well, man, when you see these other D2 schools playing, they're not going to question the FBS or FCS. That's fine. That's not our level. But if another Division II school's playing, then, you go get those questions from your players. So it's just a lot, man. I don't know. I would love to do it, and I know every program is different and what they're thinking, but it's just a lot. I'm about 50-50 on it right now. Like Coach said, it's gonna be some schools I know that's gonna try to do it, but it's gonna be a lot that's not. And I'm, it's really not a lot of guidance. The NCAA is kind of playing the background, man. They kind of like, they don't want to say anything right now. They just like letting it be. So I don't know.
So since the pandemic, have you guys had to shorten the staff or shorten the roster, or have you had any players come forward and say, "Oh, because there's no season, I want to transfer"?
Yeah, so we've got 2 young men that are not participating this fall, but and I think one of them is a situation that COVID, I think, has put an extra burden on it. His dad's sick, and so that's part of it. And then another one is financial, and so the young man's not playing because he needs to work and help the family, and I think that's COVID related. But there's so many. Everyone's experience is a little different, and what are your family's finances? What is their health situation? There's so many things, and so I think in this time period, we've got to be, as college coaches and colleges in general. In my opinion, we've got to be looking at every situation, and I think our president and provost talk a lot about giving each other a lot of grace, and I think that's important right now, that we we don't have a one size fits all answer to everything, and we kind of take every situation as it comes, and try to do the best and do the best by each person, each family, and gosh, in the end, you try to do the best you can do within your situation.
Right. That's the same for us, man. We haven't had any guys. I think it was one, but it was kind of the same what Coach has said about just having to work. Those guys having to work. But right now, fortunately, we are not in that situation. So thank God for that. But like you say, it's case by case basis, and you got to have grace. It's just you got to be understanding. You got to be understanding. Our head coach is, man. He definitely is understanding, and that's one thing I credit him for, being understanding and just taking it situation by situation.
All right, so we see a lot of these protests going on around the country or whatnot. What I want to know is, like, let's say a player came to you and said, "Hey, I want to go join the protest next week, or the anti-protests next week, or something like that." What would your response be? What would your advice be?
Coach, you want to start there? Go ahead,
yeah.
Coach.
Yeah. And we discussed this as a staff and just with our team, and it's fine, man, to be able to express freely whatever you want to do. Our thing to our guys is just make sure it's peaceful. Make sure that you're doing the right things. You're not doing anything illegal. If they're telling you to do something, you do it, but be able to express what you want to express. Make sure if you're protesting and you want to, that's awesome. That's awesome. We applaud you. Just make sure it's peaceful, and just make sure you're doing everything right legally. And I think for us, we definitely don't have a problem with that. We actually had some guys. It was some protests up in Richmond, and some guys actually did peacefully protest. Mm-hmm. And we were for that. And like I said, just our message to our guys is make sure you be safe, because you got some different agitators out there just want to be disruptive, and you don't want to be a part of that group. You want to make sure your message is heard, and not the wrong message of looting and being an agitator and violent. Just make sure that you're peacefully protesting and you're doing what you're supposed to do. And so that message, whatever message that is heard. And we kind of push that on our guys. And when this first, all the protests first started, our guys were kind of in the space, and Coach Parker just let those guys express themselves how they need to. I think that's one of the things that we do well. You can kind of express your own opinion, good, bad, or indifferent. It's your opinion, and everybody has to be respect that opinion. And so that's kind of how we handle it at Virginia Union.
Well, great stuff, Coach. I mean, that is great stuff. I appreciate that. Jonathan, one of the things that during my time at A&T, I came to have a better understanding of the impact that college students can have, and the importance of using your rights. And every day before a ball game or on the way out of town, the buses would stop at A&T at the statue there on campus of the A&T 4. I think some people in Greensboro call them the Greensboro 4, but if you're from A&T, they're the A&T 4. And so those were 4 college students that had to sit in at Woolworth downtown in Greensboro, and really started that movement in essence, and integrated the lunch counters across the country. Mm-hmm. Those were 4 college students. And so our message to our guys has been, I think, kind of similar to what you guys are doing at Union, it sounds like. And I've just encouraged our guys to be thoughtful in there, and be safe, and try to do things in the right way. this is a unique time, and
Right.
my hope is, and I've told our guys that their generation can do better than ours.
Right.
And I, our other kind of message to our guys is, I think, and this is, Jonathan, you know me, and you know faith's a big part of me, and I think the Lord puts us in situations, and we have a platform, each one of us. You know, John Lewis had a different platform than someone else. His was huge
Right.
and on a national scale, but maybe yours is maybe it's, you know, in a community, in a church setting, whatever it is. But I think each of us has a responsibility to make the world a little better place, and we can use our platforms that we have in a thoughtful way. And I think, I know on my team I've got I've got guys that vote on different sides of the aisle, and so we're really trying to push with our guys. You know, right is right and wrong is wrong, and
Right.
And we can. I think if you can't have the feeling that equality is the right thing, then we've got a problem. But I want our guys, and I think it's a problem in our country that we can't have conversations and can't have disagreements without hating each other. It's unbelievable, and like I said, I hope that this time period, the the protests that are going on will bring about some change that's needed, and that people will be human beings and have some respect. That's what we talk about all the time in our program is, well, we want to respect all and fear none, and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. But those kind of lessons, and I think sports and football and the locker room, can teach a lot about life. And I think if we'll become leaders and use our platforms in the right way, I think we can make some change.
Right. You're definitely right.
That's good to hear, man. And we don't hear a lot of that. We don't hear a lot about the impact that college athletes can have. We hear a lot. Oh, you guys don't value education. You guys don't yada yada yada. Just play football. We just want you to play football. But it's good to hear that at least somebody out there feels that just because you're in college and just because you're an athlete doesn't mean you can't have a major impact on the country and on the world. My next question is really for Coach Hester, but Coach Hilliard, you could jump in if you like. Coach Hester, how good was Jonathan really? Like, how good was he? Like, was he? Cause he be talking smack or whatever. Like, you coached him, you know what kind of player he was. Like, how good was he though?
I'm going to tell you.
Let me say before you go, he was a hell of a player when we were there, because he was always, like he said, man. We played through little league, so he was always above like the competition, man. And I knew he was special, man. And then in high school it was just like, man, this guy already on varsity, coming in young. He's already playing with us. And he's a younger guy. So I know from that point. So I let Coach Hester take it from the college.
But wait, you're like his brother though. So like you're supposed to say something.
But you
like
know
that.
what? I know. You know what though? Other people can attest to that. Other than other than
Like
just
Coach said,
everybody
Coach Hester said it right. Coach Hester said, "Right is right, wrong is wrong." The facts is,
so now you're talking to the guy that went in, saw him, talked to him, went back to this. And let me explain how the recruiting process works a little bit. You get in a big staff meeting, and you go around and like at the time I was a recruiting coach and wide receiver coach, and what we say is you stand on the table for somebody, and you put your name on that guy, and so you're talking to the guy that stood on the table for Mr. Leach, and I can tell you what I saw. I saw a guy that was talented, and specifically his running style was what I liked. He knew how to put his foot in the ground and get north, and that's, it sounds like such an easy thing, but he had good vision. his quick burst coming out of planting his foot and getting upfield was I thought really really good. And so he wasn't the biggest cat or the fastest cat. I think he was big enough and fast enough, but I think his instincts for the position were outstanding. But the thing that to me sold me, and I think it proved true, is the kind of young man he was. I mean, this is a high character guy and great leader, great teammate. We needed somebody to run down on kickoffs or block on. He yes sir, and he's doing it a million miles per hour with a great attitude. If we ask him to carry the rock, he's going to carry the rock and do exactly what we want him to do with it. Had natural instinct. So it's as much as you might hate to say it, Jonathan was a player. He was a good player.
It's kind of hard to put you on a spot like this, but is there a player you would compare Jonathan to? Like you mentioned his running style. Is there like a player that we might know of in the NFL and in college that you could compare Jonathan to?
So I guess I'm sitting here thinking of guys, and I guess Gurley or guys like that are slashers. It's kind of what I would compare him to. So he's a guy that he just what I look for in a running back is because we ran a lot of zone stuff is a guy that sees a hole and then hits the hole hard and puts his foot in the ground. So I guess I know Gurley's has a lot of different things, but I guess maybe that slashing back is what my mindset is of Jonathan.
Yeah, North Carolina, baby. Girl from North Carolina,
Yeah.
baby.
Todd Gurley, he played for the Rams.
Right.
Running back for the Rams.
Yep. Tarboro High School.
That's not bad. Yeah,
East side North Carolina, baby.
That's a good look, Jonathan. That's a good look. I ain't even mad at that.
That's how the running backs are on the east side, baby.
Okay.
That's how we roll. I appreciate you guys, man. That's very humbling.
Well, and let me say also, Jonathan, I tell you, and I know Coach Hilliard, you're probably the same way as me, but when you're in coaching long enough, I love the games, I love the competition, I love all that. But to me, the thing that gives me the most joy is seeing your ex-players later in life. Man, there's nothing like it. There is no other joy and like that. And Jonathan, it makes and I try not to be a proud person, but I am so proud of him. He's a good dad. I went to watch a high school football game, and he's out there in stripes officiating, and he's doing a great job. And look, I'm over there. I'm looking around. I got my chest all poked out. I am so proud of him. And I think, to me, if you're in it for the right reasons and coaching, you're in it to help develop young men. And obviously, I've already told you how much I thought of him and the other guys that we recruited coming into it. But to feel like, man, you can help that process and help develop a young man and, look at the things that he can do and the impact that he can have on young people in officiating, in his family. He's a community leader. He's got he's got this thing going on and the podcast going on. What a great impact that he's had, and I'm just so proud of you, Jonathan, and I think the world of you.
I really appreciate
awesome,
it, Coach,
man.
man. I really appreciate it.
That is definitely awesome. Definitely.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you guys. That's really kind words. John had to bring that out, huh? So what are you guys' expectations for the season and Coach Hester, like you starting a new program? What is your vision for Barton?
It's funny you talk about that because obviously if you're in coaching or playing sports, you want to win. You want to win. So that's I've told our president, I've told our players, every game that we go in, we're going to go into it thinking we're going to find a way to win this ball game, and so that's what we're thinking about. But but here's what we've been concentrating on, and is to try to be the best version of ourselves. And I think that's something that we all can do individually. And when Kobe Bryant passed away, I was reading a bunch of things, and the Mamba mentality, he's defined as that. Being the best version of yourself and continually trying to get better. And so we've really focused on that. And so I don't know what that means exactly, wins, losses, and things like that. Obviously, we want to win every game we play, but we want to be the best version of ourselves. And so that's something we've tried to adopt. And I think our guys are buying into that. And hopefully we get to play some games this year, but if not, we'll move on. And we've got a challenge. Hey, the South Atlantic Conference is a tough conference. CIAA is as well, but man, we were supposed to host 5 games in Wilson at our new stadium, and 3 of the 5 teams that we were supposed to host were in the playoffs last year. So we've got our work cut out for us, and I've tried to educate the folks in Wilson that this is going to be a challenge. But I think our guys, we've recruited to that challenge, and I think our guys are excited about the challenge.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Just piggybacking on what Coach was saying, I think for us, the expectation, it's just for us to try to get over that hump. Like Coach said, like we played a South Atlantic team, Lenore Ryan, man. Like talking about a perennial power, and going down to the wire with those guys. So for us, it's just like, man, we got to get over that hump. We got to prove that we belong. Even in our conference, you're talking about Bowie State, another playoff team. Like we got some powers on our schedule, man. And you're talking about Carson Newman. We played them our first year at Virginia Union. Like it's like, so we and then this season, playing a D1 team in Hampton. So we had our work cut out for us, man. And for us, like I said, it's, the expectation, and this how, of course, like Coach said, everybody wants to win, but us just stepping up to the challenges of the season, not just for our players, but for our coaches. This is probably was going to be our toughest schedule to date. Just seeing how we could battle through that. And, just coach, the expectation for us from our head coach is just do your job, man. Do what you got to do. And that's to our players as well. And, of course, like I said, the expectation is to win, but it would have been fun, man. It would have been fun. I think we had some good guys coming back. And, hopefully, like Coach said, we're able to play. But if not, you got to take, like you said, and I definitely use that, Coach, man, taking the positives of it, man. You're living. You're still here. It's other people that can't say that. You mentioned Kobe Bryant. He probably never would have thought that would happen. So just understanding that, you still, it's another day, and for us, just enjoy it. Like, like Coach said earlier, once we get back into it, man, you'll have a better appreciation of, why you're playing and why you're doing it. So, but as far as the expectation, man, of course we expect to win. I'm like Coach, we got some South Atlantic powerhouses on our schedule. So we got some CIAA powerhouses on our schedule. So man, it would have been a challenge for us this year.
Well, we definitely appreciate you guys for taking the time out. I know you guys are really, 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 really busy with this and adjusting, I'm definitely appreciate you guys for just taking the time out with us today, and I'm proud of you guys to be have you guys to be a part of my lives in each step of the way, and you guys have actually put some good roots in me, because like Marcus, you and your family, man, you're a big foundation to me spiritually, and where I wanted to have my family. And then, Coach Hester, I seen you as like that another dad, as that guy that I could see you with your family and your wife, and and it was like, oh, that's another standard. So it's good to have those standards in guys like you guys, and I'm very blessed to have you both in my life.
Appreciate it, man.
That means a bunch.
Yes, sir.
Love you, brother. You're a good man, and I'm so happy for you. And it's been an honor to be on here with you.
Yeah,
and
appreciate
you
definitely,
as
man.
well, Coach Hilliard.
Yeah, definitely, Coach. I appreciate it, man. And definitely good luck, man. I was telling Jonathan before. I said, man, I had text you, man. Maybe, and it was during the time you were getting hired. I said, I just wanted to tell him congrats, man. Like, but I know everybody was plugging at him, and like, I know he had a million texts, and just so I'm glad, it worked out, man. Now I'm able to talk to him, through this, man, personally.
Absolutely.
So, congratulations on that, man.
Coach, get with me, and Jonathan's got my new cell number. I'm
Okay.
to a 252 number, so.
Okay, you're bad now.
Yeah. I got to, yeah.
Okay. I definitely get that from a man, and definitely congrats, man, again on that, man. Much success for that program, man. The Wilson area is cool, man. Barring that, and like you guys just got a new field. Guys.
Yeah. The homestand is completed now. We've still got some work to do, but
right.
we've got a lot going good.
Okay.
So it's
good deal, man. I'm gonna have to come check you out, man. Definitely,
Please do.
I ride back home in the area and shoot you out a text, man. Coach, I'm gonna come through, man. Let me see what you guys got going on.
Would love it.
Post COVID, I know everything's like post COVID, man.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Cannot thank you guys enough. You guys are awesome. Thank you for molding Jonathan into the man that he is today. And maybe we could do this another time.
Love to. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube at The Formula Productions. And till next time, faith, dream, hustle, repeat.
And that's the formula.
Don't ever let them bring you down, cause then you be on a level. Listen, I'm never giving up. Stand your ground, don't be too comfortable or too settled. Listen, I'm never giving up. When you hit rock bottom, it's only one way to go. Listen, I'm never giving up. Everybody got problems, how you handle them, no. Yeah, listen. I got a lot of